there are some guests that you have that you don't even have to worry about them being camera ready or even camera shy because this woman right here, she is a guru when it comes to all things podcasting, and that is none other than Yvette Lloyd, but she's much more than that, and you are going to learn more soon. Welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast, Yvette.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for having me.
And it is an honor having you. And look, I want to dive right into this because you certainly have a story that is worth listening to and watching, and people are going to glean so much from you. But first, I want to go ahead and start with a nice, lighthearted icebreaker question. And you carry so many hats and you do a lot in your life, but this is your question. What do you enjoy doing for fun?
Ooh, that's a loaded question for me
Okay.
because I love doing a lot of things for fun lately, my
Mhm.
past 5 years. And I will say my top ones is actually spending time with family, traveling, and of course me giving back a lot. I love
Mhm.
giving back and just having a lot of self-care for myself.
What's one of your favorite self-care activities?
I love trails. I love anything outdoors. I love hiking. I love being by the water, like more of like things of nature.
Nature. I do too. I do a lot of walking on walking trails, and it seems for me, I can just listen to just not nature, but I can hear God's voice more clearly and
Yes.
breathe and relax. And it is just the place to unwind. So that excites me to know that. And I think about in nature how there's so many trees and they're rooted so firmly in the ground. And it makes me think about you, and part of your story is that your life, Yvette, has been rooted ever since childhood in a life of service. And so, in reflecting back to those early upbringings, tell me a bit briefly about who is Yvette Lloyd? If you could describe that in just any way that you want, thinking from your childhood until now, who is Yvette Lloyd?
Um, I'm a woman of a well, at the time, young woman of God. And I could say at that time I was Yvette Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
So Yvette Thompson is what breeded me into actually just giving back and becoming a good person overall, giving myself grace, staying humble, staying consistent with things within my life,
Mm-hmm.
determination, always being the odd child, the that always did things differently from others. I've always examined different things in people's lives and seeing the direction they're going, the direction they aren't going in. And a lot of times I always wanted to go in a direction that most people aren't going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what always like separated me into just life overall. And it carried on from me being a child all the way up to currently.
Up to currently. And also, what I want to do is thank you for that correction that you may not have even known that you made. Ever since I met you, I've been calling you Yvette, but you say Yvette, and I should have asked you that. So I do
Oh,
apologize
you okay?
for that. I really do, because I understand the power of names, and I'm sitting here like, Lord, I'm jacking up her name.
Oh,
And
no, 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 you good, you good.
okay,
I
okay,
get Yvette, Yvette, I get all types of names, so I
okay,
do not take it personal because it's said
okay.
differently.
Okay,
Yeah.
so well, I'm gonna call you Yvette because that's how you say it. So I am gonna say that. But I really appreciate that layered and loaded answer because it leads me to ponder this about you, especially with you being such an ultimate entrepreneur of having so many ventures in your life. And we'll talk about those. But thinking about when you were young, you had such a life of compassion, even at a young age. And so those early seeds of compassion, um, thinking about that, how did they help you to recognize your purpose even before you may have truly understood what purpose was at a young age?
It comes from me being surrounded by love.
Mm,
Honestly, my mom always installed like love in me. She always communicated with me. She always was like vocal of different things about aspects of life and how you should treat people, how you should be treated. And even if someone is mistreating you in some sort of fashion, if it's like family or something, you still do right by people. Don't let people discourage you for being who you are. So she created me to not be afraid of who I am and always continue to be who I am. And not only just that, I was blessed with grandparents on my mom's and dad's side. So I was
mm,
close to my grandfathers and my grandmothers. And so with me having that love as well, I'm learning another layer of legacy and just things about our ancestors and how people should be towards one another, morals, goals, respect, and honoring different things. So, from me being raised by my elders and stuff, and them teaching me different things, it created me to build character within myself. Also, taking things from what they're teaching me and taking things into my own thought process on how I want it to
mm.
be. And I've always been a giver. I always gave, and my mom would go grocery shopping with, and next thing you know, I got the kids lined up in the backyard with the food, made them sandwiches and feeding them.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
I got in trouble, but I still did it. She
Because you
still
giving
let
away
me,
those groceries.
yeah, she still let me do it. So she ended up creating it a way where she left things for me to actually be able to do that. But
Mm.
I just always been that type of kid.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's the power, it is such a blessing and a gift that you had your grandparents because there is such power in having the elders around us and having them surround us. I think about even in my own life, I only have one great uncle left, and he's in his late 90s. But I value the time I had with the grandmas and the great aunts and the great uncles. And so even with you, through everything that you do, but more so who you are, Yvette, they live within you. And so you actually have taken a lot of what they instilled in you, even at that young age of serving and giving to kids, even though you weren't supposed to use up those groceries. You have made numerous successful ventures in your life. And yet, success, this is the whole thing. People could see you and say, oh, she's got this top ranked podcast and she's had all of these businesses. She's just naturally gifted and it comes to her easily. But people sometimes don't realize that there are a lot of unseen internal battles. So, thinking about when you had Miracle Child Daycare, what were some of those silent struggles in those earlier entrepreneurial years that you faced on your journey, and how did overcoming them change the landscape and the way in which you lead and serve others today?
Girl, I was broke.
Mm,
I was so
talk
broke.
about it.
I did. It's so crazy because I started Miracle Child Daycare in my home,
Mhm,
and it was like in 2008 when I actually created my LLC and created my EIN. I did not know what I was doing. It was just research of me researching, like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, because I was babysitting
mhm,
different people's kids when Chrysler was like really huge back then. A lot of people worked in the plants a lot, and they didn't transfer them before that time. But I started to watch their kids like third shift, and then I ended up
Oh.
transitioning in 2012, well really 2011. End up creating I end up doing a background on how to have an actual daycare license through the state in my home. So I started the whole process myself. I ended up printing out the paperwork, turned in. I didn't know what I was doing, but I understood paperwork pretty good for me to actually know different things because I was always big on that. And when I first started it, I didn't really have furniture in my house like that.
Mm.
And then over the years, I was just getting little kid stuff here and there, just having it in there. And I was probably like, well, me, oh my God, I really didn't make too much money at all my first year doing childcare. I was barely making it. I couldn't really pay my mortgage. I got my car repossessed. I had my mom and my aunt was really like helping me along the way in my beginning process, and luckily I was blessed with them to be able to help me because they believed in me. They
Mhm.
saw that I was trying and that was something I really wanted to do. And as time progressed, things got better. When I actually started, I only had $500 to
Ooh,
start it. And
wow.
then once I discovered that they have like different levels with childcare. I started off with type B, which is you can only have 6 kids. And then I
Mm.
found out like, man, well, I could have 12 kids and I could get paid more per kid. And then I ended up turning my home into a commercial home. So my home is actually a commercial home now. It's zoned for the city. And
Mm.
that's when I started to make more and I started to see a difference in it. But it took me like about 3, 4 years to really just get to that point. And it also took me 10 years total to actually not have different problems and issues when it comes to me owning a daycare business.
Wow. And see, that's what people need to hear and respect you even more as an entrepreneur because the word sounds glamorous, but those of us in it know it is so fulfilling. But it's not for everybody and it's not for the weak or the faint of heart. But when that passion and drive outweigh everything, that really takes its toll in a good way for us. And the fact that you had your mom and your aunt at the time to really help to encourage you and to support you means so much because it's easy during that time to slip in depression or to have other type of physical ailments. And will you walk us through that point, Yvette, when you truly began to embrace your story, especially in those tough times of perhaps dealing with depression or uncertainty in those more challenging times on your journey, as not as something to hide, but rather something that is a powerful part of your message that could help others heal?
Honestly, I wear my heart on my sleeve too much to a point. A lot of my depression and tough times come from me helping people. Um
Ooh,
and
explain that. Yeah.
it comes from cuz and when I was financially being a lot better with things, I also started a youth program for young kids. And the money that I was making from my daycare center, I was pushing it back into the community and helping the youth and families and stuff. So I was just really just ditching out so much because I felt that it was a need there. It was something that I truly wanted to do. I was passionate about and
Mm,
everything. So with me doing that, it created a lot of emotions. And when you are serving people and you have one vision for it, sometimes that vision don't go as though that you want it to go because some people aren't used to receiving love the way you give it to
mm,
them. And it's a sad reality. Also, people are they're uncomfortable with being treated right and they rather be treated wrong. So
Mm.
I've dealt with many multiple people's spirits and personalities and dislikes of me due to the things that I do, and they felt obligated and entitled and different things like that. So a lot of that from me not understanding that and from me coming from love and me not receiving it back and dealing with like different things, it created me to fall into some sort of depression because I felt like something was wrong with me. Why are people treating me this way when I'm treating them that way,
Yeah.
and it like put me in a bad space even when it comes to having friends. Like I've had friends that I helped with anything like advice to start a business. They helped me just as much as well. However, as I grew, they felt it was more for me to actually give to them, when in reality you have to give to yourself the way I'm giving to myself, because it's your dream, it's your goal, it's your ambitions that you want for you. I can't give
Mhm.
you what you want for you. So
Mm.
that created me to lose a lot of friendships as well, and some things developed into jealousy and hatred along the way, and it made me fall into depression and stuff because I'm looking forward for us to move forward. I'm looking for a forever relationship, friendship, things with people when I wasn't receiving it back. So it
Mhm.
sat in me for a while. It made me feel terrible. And then at the same time, I lost I ended up opening up another daycare business. I lost that as well. And it was behind one of my friends as well.
Mm.
So it's like
Mm.
those are the things that fell into depression, and of course my personal life of taking the losses that I took, as far as I lost my mom, then I lost my business, and then I lost my husband, all in
Mhm.
one. So it was a lot when it comes to it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that, but as you were speaking, I'm just sitting here saying, yet you're still standing. And you're not just standing, but you're moving and you're walking and you're building and you're growing. So, someone listening or watching this may hear you and say, oh, I'm in that space of where she once was. Yvette, how did you choose each day when your back was against the wall or when you couldn't believe the betrayal or the hurt that was experiencing in your life? How in the world did you choose to still say, no matter what, I'm going to continue moving forward with my dreams? What was that secret sauce?
God chose me. God chose me. I know I have such a personal, powerful relationship with God
Mm.
that was installed in me when I was young. And I also had a mom that gave me affirmations and gave me warnings of things that I may end up going through as I get older. My mom told me who was your friend and who isn't your friend, and the things you go through with people and what people aren't used to. She prepared me for the world.
Mm.
Even though I heard her, I still didn't experience it. So when I experienced it, I knew what it was going to do. And then also watching my mom go through things with her job when she worked, and the things she went through with people, as I watched her over the years, I've never heard my mom complain one time. My mom has never put her burdens on me and my brother. She kept us as children. She kept us in a child's place where we needed to be at our age, and she didn't give us
Mm.
adult issues.
Yeah.
So it created me to have a healthy mindset, and also strengthened me for encouragement and strengthened me to continue to be who I am because I was taught who I am. I was taught that I was gifted. I was taught that no matter what, don't let anyone take me away from who I am, my character, and can't nobody stop me but me. So if I'm going through so many different things in life, I was also taught that those things are lessons. Those things are for me to observe, for me
Mhm.
not to go over it over and over again. It was my decision if I keep going through the same things repeatedly. So I try not to repeat those cycles and always continue to move forward because at the end of the day, over when you get over a storm, it's a blessing. And
Mhm.
when you step over to fear, it's a blessing. And also, when you are in fear of the unknown and you afraid of it, it's still a blessing over there. So as you
Mhm.
keep going through things, it's always going to be a blessing in the end of it. And I've learned that cycle throughout the years and it's strengthened over the years. I've cried in between. I was
Yeah.
hurtful and everything. But now the Yvette today, I can't nobody tell me nothing.
That's right. That's right. You better say so. Oh my gosh, that is so true. Nobody can stop you but you. And that is so absolutely true is that you have recognized that God has chosen you, just not called, but you are chosen for a time such as this, and you must do the work. He has equipped you to do what it is you're supposed to do. And even the fact that you mentioned that you lost your mom, your business, your husband back to back. I can't imagine, but I just know from common sense that that had to have been one of the most challenging seasons of your life. So take us to a specific moment with all of that piling on top of each other when you made a conscious choice to transform that unimaginable pain into renewed vision. What changed and transformed within you?
Oh, a lot. I started to gain weight.
Hmm.
I was always in a bed. I was depressed. My body started to ache and hurt. I wouldn't be able to walk.
Mm.
Even when I did walk, it was painful to my back, and that was due to me like just gaining weight off stress. It wasn't even the fact that I was eating, it was just life, life just happening. I had my in-home daycare. I had a licensing specialist come out give me an inspection. I didn't even do the corrective action in the inspection, so from me not doing that, it made me lose my star ratings that I had on
Oh.
there. So when I lost my star ratings, I lost all the kids on my roster.
Mhm.
um I dealt with that as far as a reality check, and also I at the time I didn't know how I was going to pay for my car note, my mortgage. I didn't know how I was going to pay for anything at the time because I lost my daycare too, so I didn't have the same finances coming in the way I
Mhm.
did. I didn't have anything coming in at that time. So I had to get up. I had to get up. I had to snap out of it. And one day I just made a Facebook post telling people that I'm selling my daycare stuff out of my bigger daycare that I lost.
Mhm.
And I literally made the quickest $6,000 ever in like 2 hours.
Hmm.
and,
Wow.
and I was able to pay all my bills. I hurried up and did my paperwork to get my kids back on the roster. Even though I lost the kids on my roster, I didn't use the kids from my daycare because
Mhm.
I still had the parents coming. The parents didn't know. I didn't mention nothing or
Oh, I
anything.
see. Hmm.
So I still had the kids coming, but they were coming for free. So they were getting free childcare for like a month and a half, not even knowing I had, lost all of that at that moment. And once I got them back on a roster, had the parents, like contact downtown so you can get the kids back on and everything. Then
Mhm.
it's been up since.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
but that was a smart move to not say anything, but to still have them there. That was very strategic and it worked for your advantage. And I'm just sitting here imagining all this, and I said, girl, your life so far, it could really be a movie with all of this loss and victory and everything else. Because what may be seen as failures or loss in my perspective, really aren't. They are teachable moments and lessons that could really clear a path for renewed hope, vision, and even more massive success. Because when you're chosen for something, then nothing can stop it. And so, one of the things that you shared with me when we first connected is that you are a person who continues to develop, but also has a strong sense of emotional intelligence. And you've had that even at a young age. And so that's something that even certain adults don't really have. But how did that gifting of having emotional intelligence help you navigate through such complex emotions that arose after losing so much personally and professionally, but yet, particularly when rebuilding your life seemed at times maybe almost impossible? How did you tap into that?
I just always had the mindset of not taking things so internally because I
Hmm.
know that stress can kill you. You know?
Okay,
And
okay.
I just didn't want to get myself to that point. Yes, the thoughts have crossed my mind of
Mm,
me just not caring about it, but I felt like I always still had purpose here. I still had things that I needed to do here to create a change and a difference. Even though a lot of times when it comes to having change difference, having a heart, being your authentic
mm,
self and everything, it's more of an attack on you when
mm,
you are that person and when you are walking of who you really are. And it was just so important to me to continue to be who I am and continue to walk that, because if not, I mean, who else gonna take care of you? Who else gonna
mhm,
do anything for you but you? At the end of the day, a lot of things transpire in our life because we let it. So if
mhm,
we continue to let things happen, that's exactly what it's going to be. If you keep on thinking negative thoughts and keep on doing things in a negative way or a negative direction, that's exactly what you're going to get. Even the
mhm,
power of the tongue. If you're saying things about yourself, that's exactly what you're going to be. If you're
mhm,
saying things about other people, you got to watch what you say because it could turn back on you. At the end of the day, any direction of life that you go into, it comes back to you regardless.
mhm. Our words create our reality, and
It
even the
does.
things that we think do. And so, even when I said earlier, I can't even remember now if I said it when we started recording or beforehand, but something that I've had to work on is I can be doing something and I might use the word, try or trying. Is no try or trying. I'm doing
Yeah.
XYZ because I'm sitting here saying, why do I minimize what I'm doing when I'm doing it? Because the
Mhm.
more that we put out there, the more it becomes, whether that's good or bad. Take us back for a second, just out of curiosity, because your mother and your husband, of course, played huge roles in your life. Just as a more uplifting type of aspect, tell us a little bit about them in terms of their personality and what is something that both of them individually taught you the most about yourself.
Self-love.
Uh,
So self-love mainly, taking care of myself, making sure that I'm okay, just
mhm.
putting me first. And I could say more or less my late husband, he plays a big part of
Oh.
as far as like my faith and my relationship with God. He has grew that on me even stronger. Like I already knew it,
Mm-hmm.
but he was more of he was a man of God to a point. He did the Bible studies with me. We
Mm-hmm.
read scriptures together and everything. And it all started from a distance first because I met him while he was in prison. We got married while he was in prison. So
Wow.
we had a lot of time together with God, and we had a lot of individual time with God as well. My mom always had me going to church. She always went to church and different
Mhm.
things like that. And she always made sure I always had my faith, my trust. And she's a part of the reason of me watching what I say, watching what I do, and me standing on business and who
That's
I
right.
am. so
Yep.
so it's like it's a lot of like as far as them playing that huge part in my life when it comes to that, and my brother as well.
Yes.
I have an older brother, and
Mhm.
my brother is like that too in my life, and he always made sure he was on me. He was always
Uh-huh.
at me.
That's really good though that you have a big brother like that because um when you have that added support around you, it's almost like, yes, you have the self love and the confidence, but it gives you an extra push to say, yeah, I can't turn around from what I'm
Mhm.
trying to do. And you stand on business for real. And
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, because y'all, we've talked about her having a daycare and all of this, but for people watching versus people listening, you see behind her that she absolutely has one of the most amazing backgrounds behind her. And it is because Sister Girl has an official studio because as um modest as she is, and she's not arrogant or cocky, she is a top podcaster. I'm thinking I'm doing something with my top 5%. She is like top 2 or 3% podcaster. And she interviews so many amazing people from around the world. And she also coins herself, and I ain't mad at her, she is a celebrity podcast host also. But I say that though, because how in the world, take us to that journey where you said, you know what? I'm going to expand myself. I am a resourceful, thriving entrepreneur, and I want to do more. What in the world made you enter this world of podcasting? How did that happen?
My mother. My mother. We was actually supposed to start this podcast together, and we was going to have like a mother-daughter talk. As
Oh.
far as my mom was always any woman that came into her life, she spoke life into them. Even if it was somebody she ain't know, she'd be like, girl, what's your problem? Get up, quit all that. So she was just always doing that for people. So when when we thought of it, I was no longer doing my girls program all like that no more. And my mom was like, your girls are getting older, and the older ones don't have nothing to listen to anymore. She was like, why don't you just start a radio show or something? And I'm like, a radio show? I'm like, Mom, I don't know nothing about a radio. And then I ended up talking to one of my friends, and she was telling me about podcasts. And she like, why don't you just create a podcast and you could just do things on your own? And I'm like, okay, cool. She was like, what do you want to talk about? I said, I just want to help people. I just want to
Mm.
bring life into them and all of that. And I was like, at first I was just like her life, and because it was like based upon me, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's me and my life and things, my journey. And I
Mhm.
wanted to talk to other people about theirs too. And they're them having testimonies and stuff. And then she was like, what about Life Her? Why don't you just be Life Her? So it's just, I just became this woman because I feel like I am Life Her. I feel like
Yeah.
I love like speaking life into people. I love talking to people. Even though I'm interviewing them, I'm still pouring into them as well. And I'm still pouring into the young girls that was in my program because they listen to it all the time
Oh,
and they still my Facebook friends, they still follow me, and a lot of things that I know for a fact, I'm quite sure they watch a lot of things that I do because I've seen them do it on their
mhm,
platforms. And
mhm,
it's like really encouraging for me to actually see that and give them a different vision on things. Even the boys, I had boys in my program as well, and all of them are doing great. So that's how Life Her podcast came about. My mom wanted me to keep on in a different form for the older generation, for
mhm.
something that's more cooler for them to listen to.
Exactly.
So it just rolled from there. I just kept going nonstop. If and it's been like 5 years now.
Oh, that is beautiful. It's been 5 years, and it's gonna be 5 more, and it's gonna
Yeah.
expand into something even greater than what you could imagine. And I appreciate you sharing that and that you took that chance even without really knowing much about it. You said, okay. And you listened to your mom because she saw
Yeah.
it in you, and that really has done well for you and has paid off for you in more ways than one, as well as expanded your network and your circles. And the world is so small because I tell people all of the time, even with certain people that I know, whether it's an acquaintance, a friend, mentor, or a family who might be in entertainment, I say it's their profession, but at the end of the day, they're still a human being going through real life human issues, and that's what it's about, is that human connection. And so thinking about you as a growth driven leader who have founded platforms such as the podcast, but also Life Her Studio, you had your women's program, the daycare, etc. You've had multiple areas that have empowered others, but during your darkest hours, you still continued to pour into the community and to empower others and to remind them of their own strength and resilience. What does strength and resilience, what do they look like to you?
Loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
Loving myself, caring about my existence overall in life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it it comes from your surroundings of people. What people are in your life? Are they beneficial for you? Are they actually helping you elevate, or are they actually bringing you down and keeping you down? And that's like part of my strength, because if I'm surrounded by weakness, that's exactly what I'm going to be. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm surrounded by people that sit around and gossip and talk about other people, that's exactly what I'm going to consume. So I always make sure I am consuming things that will be beneficial for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not be around things that will trigger me, or things that I feel like is unhealthy or setting me backwards. So that's a lot of where my strength comes in, because if you don't have the strength to want more for yourself in those areas that help you have self growth,
Mm-hmm.
for you and your life, you always have years. You have so many years ahead of you to have like growth, for you to become a better version of yourself. So I'm always big on that. And that's where most of my strength comes from, because the more healthier my life and my surroundings be, the more strength I have to continue to be successful.
Oh, and you just dropped a nugget right there that I hope people caught on to. Is pretty much as long as you're here, y'all, on earth, as long as you're here, You have a chance to make your life meaningful regardless of your circumstances. And that is what you have done and are doing, Yvette. And my show, a lot of the listeners and the subscribers are people definitely focused on personal growth and development. They are leaders in some form, whether they're leading in their home, leading on their jobs, leading in their business. They don't have to be entrepreneurs, although now most of my guests are. But on top of that, they are navigating personal challenges or always wants tips and strategies on how to have deep transitions. So, in knowing that, what would you say to someone currently that may be in a very messy middle? They're at a crossroads of their life where they are navigating uncertainty, loss, or even self doubt. How would you talk to them and what would you say about how to hold on to faith and trusting this chapter of their journey?
You have to hold on because it's a blessing on the other side. It's something so much greater than you. A lot of times us individuals as the chosen ones from God, we go through a lot more than actual normalcy of people. We're
Mhm.
always challenged, and you have to also think about it. Think of the things that God went through for us to actually, look at him as our father. He
Mhm.
went through a lot of things for us to be able to do the things that we do. He
Yeah.
has to literally watch over so many of us all over the world. Why can't we have the strength and power to do the same for ourselves when we only have one person that we're responsible for to continue on with life is ourselves? Yes,
Mhm.
yes, you may have children, you may have a husband, you may have family and everything, but a lot of times they not gonna be together if you're not together. So you have to always have that strength and have that faith and have that confidence within yourself to know that you're able to push through, you're able to do it. You just have to keep going and just look and see that light on the other side because it's there. It's always going to be there. You just have to get yourself there, get the strength where you get there. If it's people telling you the opposite or not strengthening you and not pushing you and not speaking life into you in a positive way that isn't helping you get to that point when you are in your down phase, you have to be able to learn how to get it yourself out of it because a lot of times when we in different situations in life, we are alone. And as you grow, it's going to get lonelier and you
Mhm.
got to find that voice from God, that voice of reason of someone that you know that you're able to make it and keep going. And I could say most of my down dark seasons, it was just me and God, honestly. It's
Mhm.
just me and him just getting through it. And journaling is like everything. Writing down how you feel is like so much of a different level. And when I say that I love hiking and going on trails and different things like that, you could find places where you could just scream on top of your lungs and you could just let it out. You got areas where you could just cry it out. It's just a
Yeah.
lot of times we just need that out of our system so that we could just get another boost of energy.
Mhm. Girl, this is amazing because it makes me think of when they tell you on an airplane that if in the event of pressure or drop in altitude or some type of an emergency to put the mask on yourself first before helping anybody else. And that's what we have to do. We got
Yeah.
to put the mask on ourselves because if we aren't good to ourselves, we can't be good to anyone else. And with all that you do with all of your ventures and your offerings, how can a person say if they want to learn more about you or even want to start subscribing to your show? in general, how can somebody learn more about you and connect with you? Where can they go?
You could go to Life Her Podcast. It's on every platform you could think of. You can even Google my name, Yvette Lloyd, or you can even Google Yvette Thompson as well. You can see what I've done in the past before I actually became this Life Her Podcast
Mhm.
individual. But everything is Life Her Podcast. Everything is Yvette Lloyd. Most of my social media platforms of me myself is Life Her Vet,
Mhm.
and you will be able to see a lot of my journey as well. I have a lot of things that I'm getting ready to have coming up soon, as far as me writing a book, me having courses, or even helping other people get through grief,
Yes.
courses when it comes to podcasting. I'm just going to be offering a lot of services. I wasn't in that headspace for a
Mhm.
while, but I'm getting to the point now I am ready.
I'm happy to hear that. And I mean this, and I'm just not saying this for the camera, but let me know when you do. And I'm happy to even share it on my platforms as well. And as we come to a close, my question that I'm thinking about and just everything that you've talked about, what does true transformation look like for you today?
Me now today. um I I am like 10 times better of who I was a long time ago. I
Mhm.
am so much more strengthened. A lot of my blessings are being received and coming at the same time. It's just the fact of me loving myself more than ever at this moment is I feel unstoppable. I feel confident, a lot more confident than I've ever been in life. And I think it's due to me watching my mom take her last breath and finding
Mhm.
my husband gone. It made me see how much life it needs to be valued a lot more, and how short it can be for anybody.
Mhm.
And I chose me in this season, and I chose me to live life on my terms, the way I want to, and not let anyone get in the way of it.
Nobody. No,
Nobody.
nobody. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.